Thank you again. Welcome to Goldfields Library's Library in Your Lounge Room. So we, like many organisations, have had to do a quick pivot and our events have all now been hosted online for quite some time. And we're delighted because it brings us a wider audience and it makes our offerings more accessible to people in the comfort of their own lounge room. We like to think of libraries as a community lounge room, and when they're open, that's what we love for them to be for people. But in the meantime, we have to find other ways to offer you some relaxing opportunities in your own lounge room. So as I've said to those of you who might have been late arriving, but you're all doing a great job so far, if we could keep our cameras and microphones off during the session, and please use the chat box to pop any questions in. We'll be coming to questions at the end of the session, but please do put them in as you think of them, and I'll collect them as we go, and I'll put your questions to Lyndall and Shannah as we go. So the latest person to arrive, if you could just put your microphone on mute too, that would be wonderful. So it gives me enormous pleasure, and I'm really excited about this session tonight, From Chaos to Calm, with Lyndall Mitchell and Shannah Kennedy. Now these two also go by the collective term of the Essentialists, and they've written a number of books together. Shine, 20 Ways to a Happy Life, Restore, 20, I might not be getting these titles entirely correct, Self-Care Tips and Tricks, and Ignite, 20 Tools to Fire Up Your Life. And then the one that we'll be talking about tonight, Chaos to Calm, Take Control with Confidence. And I've had the great pleasure of dipping into this book, and it's a beautiful book. You know, when you sit down with a book and a cup of tea and a pen, and it's sort of like having a coach in your pocket almost. So these two are also very experienced life and wellness coaches, and their work is renowned around Australia, and they work internationally as well. So we're so lucky to have you both with us tonight, and delighted to have you with us for this very important topic, From Chaos to Calm. And I have to say, for some of us, our lives have in some ways become a bit more calm on the outside at this time, because we can't go anywhere, and our mad racing around that we might be used to doing has slowed. But for me personally, whilst the external things have slowed down a bit, perhaps the internal is still a bit chaotic. And I suspect you'll be talking to us a bit about our internal as well as our external realities when it comes to self-care and well-being. So I can't wait to hear more. And thank you again, both, very much for being with us. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Lucy. That's awesome. We're really privileged to be with this group tonight and talking to you about Chaos to Calm strategies. Shannah and I co-authored Chaos to Calm because that was what our clients were telling us they wanted. You know, we write our books about the topics our clients are telling us about. And so Chaos to Calm was a time when everyone was needing the strategies. And, you know, what a great time to revisit that book at the moment when we're all adapting and changing. And there is a fair bit of chaos around, that we can go internally and have some calm, have some moments of calm. To have calm, you know, the whole day, 24 hours is not realistic, but to have these pockets of calm is what we really want to delve into tonight. So tonight is your tapas menu of calm options, your options for you to dip in and dip out of. And some of the things we talk about you may have already done before, or you may already have in your life, and hopefully they're working really well for you. Often it's good to refresh these skills and hear these tips and tools and strategies again. It might be a different time for you and you're ready to implement some more. We also hope that you can take one new tip away that you can implement into your life. So we've got a whole tapas menu of different things. We have only got 40 minutes, so we're going to keep moving and have some questions and answers at the end. So if you've got some paper handy, that would be great to write down some tips on the way through. We thought we'd start by sharing very briefly our story of how we've come to be here. And Shannah's going to start with her story.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, get a pen and paper and write your notes down. We've got lots of wonderful little tips to give. But my story was all about, you know, A-type, overachieving perfectionist and wanting to take on the world, and lots of drive and lots of motivation, and married my job, which was in sports marketing, and it cost me my health. So, you know, 20 years ago, I developed chronic fatigue syndrome and depression, and that ball really just chaos really threw my life into the bin very, very quickly. And I had to really rebuild myself and develop a roadmap and a life plan that would give me longevity in my career and allow me to have a family and allow me to live a healthy and fulfilled life. So for the last 20 years, I've been really practicing these skills and these tips and these tricks and becoming an executive coach. So I started coaching elite athletes into retirement and then turned my business into basically coaching anybody that really wants to have a fulfilled life, and started writing the books to share the message much wider than just from one person. And then Lyndall and I joined together to form the Essentialists and combined both of our talents and our skills. And I'm more the executive style coach, and Lyndall's all about health and well-being. And we came together to really travel the country, and we've been speaking on stages and writing books and sharing as many tools and tips as we can with the wider community. And it's been an incredible ride. And this year we haven't been able to get onto the stage, but we've opened up all of this Zoom, which has just been fabulous. So thanks for having us, and I hope you enjoy the journey tonight.
So Shannah and I have had different paths to how we got to where we are tonight, and you'll see there is a yin and a yang between the two of us, but what we share a great passion on is self-care and really protecting the asset, which is you. And you've already made an investment in yourself in just being here tonight, which is so fabulous. And now it's about how we can maximize that for you. But my journey started in Queensland. Actually grew up on an organic banana farm and worked at the local health retreat for 5 years, and saw clients constantly in crisis. Lots of Shannahs coming in, and have 50 guests every week, and there'd be, a lot of burnout, whether it was stress burnout, adrenal burnout, exhaustion, emotional crisis. There's lots of different states people were coming to me, might have just burnt the candle at both ends. And my job was to be with the guests over that week. And what I saw was an incredible transformation that took place. And it really solidified my belief in wellness, in what it actually did and how it helped people. And as much as I love the destination retreats, I thought, how do we support clients for the long term? Because 1 week out of the year is not wellness. It's about how we incorporate this into our life for the long term. So I moved to Melbourne and started an urban retreat to help support the clients after their destination experience. So I started Aurora Spa in St Kilda 23 years ago. And through doing that, I developed my own product range, which has been on Qantas for the last 6 years, and in Mecca and Sephora and lots of different places. And the product range is all about getting nature in a bottle. So whether you're in the spa or at home, you can, have those little moments of self-care. It's helping to protect the asset. And so Shannah and I came together around 6 years ago. We met in the playground at school, where we say all great business deals are done. And that was when we decided one day when the time was right, we'll work together. And yeah, we've co-authored 4 books together and have a lot of fun and really complement each other and help each other and coach each other, as well as coaching lots of different people and helping share the message in the corporate market, as well as through the spas and with the books. So that's really enough about us. It's all about you tonight. And tonight is about how we can take these self-care tips and help protect the asset and really help to integrate these tools into your life, making them really practical, things that you can do on a daily basis that are easy for you to implement. And so Shannah will kick off with some powerful questions.
Yeah, thank you. So, a lot of people over this whole year really have been saying, I feel like I'm out of control. I feel there's chaos, even though we're not allowed to go anywhere. They've lost that feeling of security about themselves, and they've lost who they are because they're not used to that routine that they've had for the last 10 years has sort of been thrown into chaos. And a lot of people feel like now they've been doing the same old thing all year. We've been restricted. We haven't been able to travel. We haven't been able to see, in Melbourne, we're both based in Melbourne. We haven't seen our families since March. So it's been a really long time. We're coming into our 11th week of full lockdown. So, it's about controlling the controllables. And where our focus goes, our energy flows. It's one of my favorite sayings. So if we focus on what we can't control and we focus on what's happening out there, then we're going to put ourselves into a really stuck place. And the way to get back in touch with our powerful selves and to find our personal power again is to go into some really powerful, great questions that instantly bring us back to self, that instantly fire us up and make us feel like we're the driver in life and not the passenger, and to get us back to that asset, which is ourself. So the first question that we always ask ourselves first thing in the morning is, what is the most important thing to me today? So if you have a pen and paper, please write down, what is the most important thing to you today? So a lot of people say, my family, my health, my job. And I invite you to say, maybe you, maybe myself. And if I can really hone in and protect myself today and inspire myself and set a mini goal for myself today, my energy will rise and then I can help other people around me. So what's most important to you, whether it be your health or your family, a lot of people say their family and their friends, is I invite you to think about, what's your attitude towards that at the moment? Where is the energy for that? And are we showing up being the best version of ourselves every single day and giving them the energy, the inspiration, the positive reinforcement? And are we being creative and adventurous? Because even though we're not allowed to do a lot of things, we can be really creative at the moment. You know, we've all had birthdays in isolation, and we've had to be very creative with our jobs. We've had to be really creative with how we interact with our friends through different mediums. So we can view it all as a really great adventure, but know what's important to you, because that's a little guideline for you to plan your day around what's most important to you and make sure you don't forget about that. One of the other questions is, what do you really want? And a lot of people have forgotten that, because yeah, we want to go on holidays and we might want to go out to a restaurant where we can't, but what do you want for yourself today that you can control? So control the controllables. Where your focus goes, your energy will flow. So be really clear in the morning about, what is my goal of the day? What can I focus on today? So I always write, you know, I have these yellow sticky notes everywhere. They're all around me. What is my goal for today? What can I control today? What do I want today? And how can I make that happen for myself? What action can I take to make that happen? So it instantly puts us out of that passenger seat and into the driver's seat. So if you write down what's most important to you, what do you really want? And secondly, think about what you can do to take some action around that. And instantly we feel like we've got some personal power back. We instantly feel like we can take responsibility to make some movement and some action for ourselves.
I think sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling really anxious or worried or stressed, it's really hard to know what it is that you really want. And did you know we have on average 60 to 80,000 thoughts every single day? That's a lot of activity circulating around. And we're hardwired in a way that up to 80% of our thoughts can be negative. We're hardwired for the threat. And so what that can trigger is some stress responses. And whether they're mild, medium, or extreme, they end up having an impact on your health. And when we start triggering our stress response chronically for the long term, then it really starts aging us prematurely and impacting on our health negatively. Starts increasing our blood pressure, our cholesterol, shuts down our immune function, shuts down our digestion. And, you know, when you're at work, it shuts down the thinking part of your brain. So, you know, a little bit of stress can be motivating and can be great to get you going. But that on an ongoing basis, on a long-term basis, can actually have an impact really negatively. And the one we like to think about to give us a little perspective in these moments when we feel the stress mounting is to come back and think, okay, is this a shark or a piece of seaweed? What is this opportunity? What is this moment that I'm experiencing here? What is this challenge that's arising? Is it a shark, emergency, or is this a piece of seaweed? Sharks are when you're on the way to the hospital. Sharks are when you're absolutely in a situation that is an emergency. The rest is the seaweed. And what we want to think about is, how can we create more of our relaxation response as opposed to our stress response. So the stress response is what shuts everything down, and our relaxation response is an intentional response that we can cultivate. The only thing is it needs a little bit of practice. And so we can actually practice these skills so that you can be calm in the midst of chaos, so that you can be calm and confident right when that chaos is hitting, so you can be grounded. You can get perspective without reacting, and having, being able to cultivate that experience is something that we practice for. And one of the ways to really cultivate the relaxation response, and really the only scientific way at the moment that we can create the relaxation response, is through our breath. The breath is the messenger to the nervous system. The breath is what actually calms and soothes your nervous system. So when you get a fright and the first thing you do is, you hold your breath and you're shallow breathing. Well, when we're under stress, we only utilize about 50% of our lungs capacity. And that's the first thing that triggers into the stress response. So what I thought tonight, as well as talking about what we're doing, let's have an experience as well, because what we want to do when we're breathing is use our diaphragmatic breath, which is our belly breath, not our chest breath. So what we're going to do is just get yourself comfortable into your chair, and we're going to have an experience of using your diaphragmatic breath so that you can start bringing this into your daily routine and start really cultivating that deep diaphragmatic breath for your nervous system. So what I'd love you to do is settle back into your chair and get yourself comfortable. Wriggle your shoulders, move your neck and your head, just releasing those muscles. Sometimes we get so tight from looking at screens and phones. Just allowing your body and your mind to fully arrive. And you may find this easier to do with your eyes closed, so that you go from your external vision to your internal vision. And just start by focusing on your breath. The mind always needs something to focus on. So just focus on your breath to start with. And now putting your left hand on your belly and your right hand on your chest. And I'd like you to take some full, deep, exaggerated breaths. And your challenge is to get the movement in your left hand. Ideally, there's hardly any movement in your right hand. So taking a full deep breath in, the belly rises. And on the exhalation, the belly falls. Exaggerate the breath. Deep breath in, the belly rises on the inhalation and falls on the exhalation. Take 3 more exaggerated deep breaths in your own time. Exhaling. And if your shoulders are moving as you take your deep inhalation and exhalation, then that's a sign that you're not diaphragmatically breathing. So you just want your shoulders to be relaxed the entire time. It's a nice little checkpoint. When you finish those 3 deep breaths, just gently rest your hands back on your lap and simply observe your normal rhythm of breathing. How often do you use your full diaphragmatic breath, the belly breath, the full belly breath? And then just open your eyes when you're ready. That was about 30 or 40 seconds of breathing. So can you feel your body a little softer? Do you feel like you're a little more present? It doesn't take long to actually calm and soothe the nervous system when you're practicing it regularly. And the benefit of practicing it regularly is when you need it, you can call on this response and trigger yourself from a stress response into a relaxation response, because we have an alternative there. It's moving into the seaweed rather than the shark. So this diaphragmatic practice is something you can do before you get out of bed in the morning. You can take 3 deep breaths. Before you go to sleep at night, take 3 deep breaths. And before you know it, it will become autopilot. But at the start, I suggest anchoring it into something else you're already doing.
So we've taken a lot of deep breaths this year. You know, we've handled all the curveballs that have come at us. You know, our speaking business, you know, went out the window in 1 week, and we lost a lot. And so we've taken a lot of deep breaths this year and really adapted and changed our ways of doing business. So it's been an incredible tool to keep you calm, to make great decisions. And the diaphragmatic breath is incredibly powerful to create calm in your body. The other thing that creates a lot of calm is we need a roadmap. If you think of your brain, it needs to know where it's going. It needs a vision. The brain needs hope. It needs goals. It needs dreams, and it needs a map. So if we're not allowing ourselves to be creative and adventurous and plan our week, our month ahead, and even till Christmas and even next year, it needs something to hold on to. And if we've stopped planning and stopped all of your goals because of COVID, then you'll find yourself in a really stuck state, and it takes your energy away. So energy is really created when we can build a beautiful roadmap for the brain moving forward. So we still have goals, we still have dreams, we still have plans for next year. The thing is to plan in pencil at the moment, where, you know, we have a bit of flexibility, so we can still plan and still engage that motivation, but we might need to do it in pencil just for another year, which is fine. So think about your goals between now and your vision between now and 1 or 3 years time. We like to focus on 3 years time, so it's 2023. So we're past all of this stuff. And in 2023, write down how old you're going to be in 2023. So I invite you to write that down on a piece of paper and see how that feels. So, you know, I just had my 50th birthday, so I'll be 53. Lyndall's right behind me, having fun. And, you know, we've got really big plans for ourselves, and they're global and they're amazing. And we know, you know, what we want to learn, how we want to upskill, how we want to feel with our health, where we want our bodies to be with their strength for our physical health, for our emotional health, for our mental health. And when you have a visual of the better version of you, and you've got something to go and work towards, you know, if you want to learn how to play golf and play golf when you're in your 70s, well, that's something we could be having lessons on now and starting to investigate. If we want to be really great at cooking something, we need to be practicing now. So there's a lot that we can be doing now to support the future vision that we have for ourselves. If we want to speak globally around the world, then we can still be doing more speaker courses and things now to upskill. So it's not a time to stop planning, to stop dreaming, to stop setting yourself a vision. It's actually a time that's really important for our bodies to see past the roadblock, to still get excited about what's ahead. So continue on your vision. Think about Christmas Day and things opening up. Think about next year, about, you know, what your plans and dreams are, and to keep writing them down. And going with vision is always our values. And our values are the base of our emotional intelligence. So when we want to feel calm and in control, we always go back to home base, which is our own set of values, our own code of conduct, because values simplify our decision making. They act as our compass to get us back on track every single day. So every day I write my values down on a little sticky note, and I put them on my computer, and they guide me for the day. And my values are health, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, family happiness. So, you know, am I showing up for my family, being a good version of myself, a positive, inspiring mum and wife? And thirdly, achievement. I'm an achievement junkie. You know, I admit it. I need to feel achievement every day, or I'm not that happy. So how am I setting up my day with my goal of the day and my little points for the day to feel a sense of achievement, even though I can't leave home? So I think it's about values and vision. We create our values, and in all of our books, we talk about values. In Chaos to Calm, there is a whole table of values for you to choose your top 3. And then that's the boss. That's who you live for. That's who you report to every day, your own set of values. Are the habits I'm doing every day, are the decisions that I'm making, Is everything that's on my to-do list adding towards my values or taking me away? Is my mindset supporting my values or is it destroying it? Are my thoughts helpful or harmful towards my values? So I invite you to think about what your values are, to pick your top 3, to write them down, to have them somewhere where you can see them every day as your roadmap for something for the brain to focus on moving forward. And then we can create a really wonderful vision that supports them.
And as Shannah said, it's a great time to really reflect on your own habits and the habits that give you energy, the habits that give you vitality, because our own personal energy tank is a marker of your health. So, what would you give yourself at the moment out of 10? So what's your personal energy like? Is it a 5 out of 10 or is it a 8 out of 10? Are you waking up extremely exhausted? Are you a 2 out of 10? Because it's a little bit like the petrol tank in our car. When we get down to that red and orange zone, how are you feeling driving around when your car's in the red zone? You're feeling pretty relaxed? You're feeling nice and calm? Well, I know I'm not. So that makes me feel anxious. That makes me feel worried. What's going to happen? All these thoughts come in. It's exactly the same with our own energy tank. So thinking about your own energy tank, now is a time we can look at some habits that you can implement that really support to boost your energy. And when we talk about habits, 40% of our day is habits. So the brain loves habits because they save effort, they're automation. So we've got good habits and we've probably got some habits that keep us stuck in a bit of a rut. And so it's looking at developing more habits to help support your foundation. And there's plenty that happens throughout your day that we're not in control of. A lot will happen. You're not in control of what work project's going to pop up or what's going to happen driving down the road. There's a lot that we are not in control of. But what we are in control of is how we start the day and how we finish the day. And we like to call it the bookends of our day. So this is about, accepting the things we can't change. We can't change the weather. We can't change who the Prime Minister is today, but we can change how we can commit to changing how we start the day and how we finish the day. We can commit to habits that help to really support our well-being in that time of the day. So how we start the day, I've got 3 simple, really easy tips for you of how you can start the day. Now, this is not about intensity at the moment. This is about developing habits that are consistent. It's what you do. It's the small things you do that really make the biggest difference over time. So 3 things to consider for your morning is, first thing, when you get out of bed, make your bed. The first habit, it's your easiest success habit. It's building a positive for the brain. So you're starting a success habit straight away when you get out of bed. The next one that leads on from making your bed is moving your body. It doesn't matter for how long or for how intense at the moment, just moving your body every day, even if it's a walk down your street or a walk around the block. What matters is that you're doing it consistently. And the next one is how you can have a mindful shower. So how you can bring your shower into being a mindful ritual. We're already showering, so let's maximize the minutes. So grab yourself an essential oil-based body cleanser and have your shower and actually cleanse your body. And then before you rinse, take 3 deep breaths and bring in your diaphragmatic breath, starting to clear your thoughts and kickstart your energy ready for the day. You're already in the shower. We're not adding more time to it. We're maximizing those minutes. So that's 3 tips for the morning and then 3 for the evening. First one is creating the environment for yourself to switch off and to unwind and disconnect. For a lot of us, and I'd say probably the majority of us, we're working from home. So we've got this sort of blend of work and home happening. So even more than ever, we need to create these environments and create the separation between work and home. So the first thing is technology, and looking at your technology and seeing how you could switch off your technology to help create the environment for you to unwind. We know the research is showing we need a minimum of 1 hour before bed in order to give our minds the time they need to decompress and unwind from technology. So if you're getting to bed, say at 10 o'clock, which we know in Chinese medicine between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is the most restorative time for our sleep. So if you're getting to bed by 10 p.m., that means you're off technology at 9. You put it away in a drawer and remove it from the bedroom. If you're using it as your alarm clock, then go and buy yourself an old-fashioned alarm clock. $2 shop, anywhere you like. Grab yourself a cheap alarm clock if you want to, or an expensive one, whatever you like. There's plenty with fancy lights and beautiful music and all sorts of things. Grab yourself an alarm clock and remove that device from the bedroom, because when you're checking your devices, it's firing up the same neural pathways in your brain that gets fired up when you're gambling. So if you jump into bed and then think, I'll just check the last email or the social media post or the breaking news, you're going to fire up all of those chemicals in your brain that you've just spent an hour unwinding from. So in order to give yourself the maximum quality and quantity of your sleep, create the environment in the evening for yourself to unwind and disconnect. So when your nighttime routine, the first one I love to do is journaling. So grabbing a book, I've got one by my bed, and at night it's what am I grateful for, and just a download of whatever's going on in my mind, trying to get it all out onto paper. And so what is it, Shannah? You don't know what you're thinking till you write it down.
Yeah.
So getting everything down on paper, that's number one. And then the next one is meditation. I find at night it's the best time to do some meditation. So for me, you've got beautiful Insight Timer is an app. It's a free app, and there's plenty of amazing sleep meditations on there. I've got 6 guided meditations on Insight Timer, but there are so many. There's 3,000 instructors to choose from, and you can be guided through a practice. If you haven't done a lot of meditation, a guided practice is an easy way to do it. So when you're getting into bed, you start by turning off your technology as your first thing, creating that environment, journaling, and then meditating. So with those 3 things, you start to anchor yourself into a ritual of what your nighttime routine looks like. You start to create these habits so that your body starts to switch off and disconnect, ready for a great night's sleep. So your bookends really, it's how you start the day and how you finish the day. And then throughout the day, it's about your little pauses and your resets. It's about how you can bring in your diaphragmatic breathing. And you can bring it into triggers as simple as every time you have a glass of water, you take a deep breath. Don't think about the habits as, I've got to do deep breathing for 10 minutes. No, you don't. 1 minute is better than no minutes. 10 seconds is better than no seconds. So just do everything in really small bite-sized pieces. And you want to make your new habits almost laughable. They've got to be so easy to implement. Then you're setting yourself up for success for the long term. So think about your daily pauses and think about that breath. And for me, part of our product range is a botanical hand wash. Every time we wash our hands, Shannah and I do it, we take 3 deep breaths. Take in the essential oils. We're washing our hands so many times at the moment. So maximize that chore and turn it into a mindful ritual to help reset and help soothe and calm your nervous system throughout the day. It doesn't take any longer, just an intention. Yeah, so that's an overview on habits. So hopefully out of all those habits that we've talked about and what Shannah's talked about tonight, what we'd love you to do is pick one new habit that you'd like to commit to implementing.
Fantastic. And, we always use our sticky notes. We write messages on the mirror in Texter. We're training the brain the whole time. There's sticky notes everywhere here. Just helping to remind us of what's most important and what the habits are that we want to adopt. We need to see them visually. So whether you put them up on a vision board somewhere or on your mirror or next to your bed, the more that we write it down, the more that we keep committing it to self as something that we think will serve us in the long term and support us to stay calm and confident in a crisis, to be able to find our energy and be grateful for what we do have and control the controllables. And remember, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if we want to change a habit, if you want to set a goal, we need to have a focus. We need to have a game plan, and we need to take massive action. So we'd like to throw open to some questions. So we're here, we've been answering questions all year, all types of questions. It can be about anything. To pop it in the chat, or I think Lucy's going to yell them out when they come in, and she's got some of her own. So put some questions in the chat and we're both really happy to answer them for you.
Thank you both so much. And while we're waiting for questions to come in from the chat, I'd just like to, well, first of all, I actually forgot to introduce myself, so my apologies. You've gathered by now, my name is Lucy Mays and I'm the Manager of Engagement for Goldfields Libraries. We have 15 libraries across 4 local government areas, so we serve quite a wide region. I can see why you're both were a match made in heaven when you met in the playground. All those years ago, and I'm feeling so relaxed from all those activities that you've taken us through. I was doing a bit of yawning in the breathing exercise, so clearly I'm not breathing properly. While people are thinking about questions, I wonder if we could invite them also, if you haven't got a question, whether you might be happy to share what your one changed habit might be as a result of this session. And I can read them out without mentioning your name so that you can stay a little bit anonymous. Or even just one takeaway, one key takeaway from today's session. I know that I've got heaps. There's been so much in that session. Thank you both so much. Really, so many rich tips and tricks. And as you said at the start, I think it was Lyndall, no matter how much you hear this stuff or you sort of feel like you know it, it just never hurts to have it. Have some reminders and to just check in with yourself about, oh, am I actually living that stuff that I thought I knew, but perhaps I'm not actually living it out. So I've got a comment here or a question we'll see from Leah. Thanks for a great introduction to your books. Suggestion for a mum that is working and studying from home with 2 children. How to incorporate little rituals into our routine and include the children. What a great question, Leah. Thank you.
Great question. Well, we'll both answer, but I can start with, since March, I've had my husband home, my 2 kids home, and working full time. And it is a juggle, but it's about creating those little rituals through the day that are a little bit non-negotiable. So, we have breakfast together. My husband and I take a lunch break at the school lunch break time so that we all come together as a family for the lunch break. So I don't coach at that time at 1 o'clock, and my husband doesn't book any meetings. So that's been really sacred and non-negotiable since March, so that we can go for a walk together or eat together. And then at night time with the dinner, we make sure we have dinner at the dining table with the television off, and we talk about our rose and the thorn of the day. So they've got this communication platform so that we can have really great conversations together and share what we are finding difficult and what was great. So just small touch points throughout the day that they know that they can rely on, I think is really, really important.
Mine's been a little bit different to Shannah because I've got 2 businesses, so I actually haven't been working from home because, as you know, it's probably not a great time to have a spa at the moment because we've been shut for virtually 6 months, and so I'm working from our warehouse while all our staff are working remotely. So I have my weekends really with my family, but they've been, homeschooling as well. But lots of rituals. Rituals, I think, is that way of bringing everyone together, and sensory experiences are great with the kids as well. My daughter just said to me actually before we started, Mum, is there any chance we can do our massage swap tonight? So we do a massage swap, and it's a bit of a deal where I get 5 minutes from her and she gets 20 minutes. I know it's not quite right, but I'm happy with that. So we do a massage ritual, and they have, obviously some beautiful creams that I've got, but you can get some beautiful essential oils and take them on a sensory journey. You can start to really evoke the senses and really dive in that way and give them that full experience. We've been doing picnics on our front grass as well, and we've got chickens here, so we've sort of it's coming into bringing them into as many rituals that are really grounding at the moment. And I think their homeschooling has been quite exhausting for a lot of kids, so I think it's about how you refuel that energy, what's giving them energy.
Beautiful. Thank you both. Another one, I really loved your suggestion about taking a deep breath when you wash your hands, and that's a lovely one you could do with children of all ages, I imagine, because they are so much more tuned into their senses, I think, than we are anyway, but I'm sure they would enjoy that activity. That's a lovely one. And another one I used to do with my kids was take them outside and ask them 3 things they could hear, 3 things they could see, 3 things they could smell, and 3 things they could feel. And I particularly tried to use it when they were a bit agitated or not traveling so well, but they didn't hopefully tune in with my ulterior motives there.
There's also some beautiful little affirmation cards you can get, and you can put them under their pillow at night. So I find that then they're going to sleep on a positive. You've got a thought for the day, and you've sort of said, so what does that mean to you, and engaged in some lovely conversation around that. So I find that well.
Yeah, gorgeous. And you can also get children's yoga cards and meditations, especially for children as well. So there's lots out there. Another question here, a comment, one of the take-homes for somebody was the deep breaths and the glass of water and the washing hands ritual. Another comment here with a question, thank you both very much for a great talk. Are there any meditations that are downloadable that mean that I don't use my phone for, I think she says for them in the bedroom, so it might be for the kids. She uses an iPod, but some of the great apps seem to need streaming or immediate access to the phone.
I am a bit old school, so I actually have got meditation CDs that I then download onto my iPod. I'm not sure about you, Shannah, but yeah, a lot of the apps are only phone friendly, aren't they?
And you can download some of them, and you can get a lot of meditations as an MP3. And I've got an iPod that's just full that I've been collecting over the years. So, but I do like my Insight Timer one, and so often I will just put the Insight Timer on and listen to my meditation, and then I'll go and turn my phone off. Then I have it on flight mode and everything like that in another room. But I think it's really important just to find what actually works for you. There's no set way, and we're all different, and to find and build your own recipe that makes you feel calm and relaxed and supported. There's no right or wrong. It's really about us giving you tips, but creating your own habits that really work for you, I think, is really important.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Shannah, for those of you who aren't accessing the chat, Shannah has also mentioned the Calm app, which she says is excellent. Another comment and question here from Rebecca. Really appreciate your honest and open sharing. She loves Insight Timer, an amazing app for the whole family. And her question is, how do you manage screen time more generally?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, for me, I only allow myself 10 minutes on social media in the morning and then 10 minutes at night, because otherwise I can lose an hour just scrolling and liking things and just mindlessly losing time. So I sort of allow myself 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. And that I feel makes me feel in control. Otherwise I lose too much time. So giving yourself some time limits, or you're only allowed to do it at lunchtime. I think just giving yourself a few boundaries around screens, just to help you feel like you've got a bit of a rule cupboard. Simon Sinek had this great talks. It's like we were given the phone and it was like giving you keys to the liquor cabinet with no rules. We were never given rules around screens and screen times, and we've had to learn to create our own. So if you haven't got any rules for yourself, I think that can be a bit of a problem.
I think a great place to also start, as well as that, is to think about when you're going to switch off and when you're going to switch on in the morning. That it doesn't have to be just when you're getting messages and notifications. You want technology to be your servant, not your master. And so often it's our master. And so thinking about, some people have a digital sunset, which means as the sun goes down, the devices go away. And Shannah and I both have that for our families. So, at 8:30 in my household, I think it's 9 in Shannah's, all the devices.
I'm nicer, Mum. I'm a nicer mum.
Of course you are.
Because
I tell me that all the time.
We've both got teenagers, so we're not very popular with them when we turn the phones off.
But then you have that nighttime sort of switch off. But then in the morning, when are you going to switch back on? Because if the phone's next to your bed, the first thing you're reaching for is your phone. And then are you going to just check, socials, or are you going to check something else? Or are you going to think about your values and think about your breathing and move your body and stay committed to your bookend, and then switch on when it suits you, when you're ready, when it works within your framework? And so I think that is about, switching off at night and switching on are both really vitally important to have some guidelines around for yourself.
There's another question quickly about suggestions about a calm physical environment. And I think that's a really important point, that we've been home for so long. We've been home all year, and it's been really important to think about your physical environment and your surroundings, and are they working for you, and do they make you feel calm? Do they make you feel organized? Do you feel like you've got space within your own home? So it's important to go to each room and think about, do I need to clean it out? I mean, both Lyndall and I are, clutterphobes. We don't like clutter. We like everything calm, and we like space, and we like our offices to be, as clean as possible for us to be working in. And it goes for every room of the house. Do you need to bring in some beautiful plants? Do you need to put on some essential oils and burn them? What actually makes the environment good for you? And that's a very personal taste, of course. But it is inviting you to take control, to look at your surroundings and make some changes if you need to, and declutter if you need to, and build a room and a bedroom that you think, wow, I love being here. I think that's important.
I think when something gets a bit out of hand, I've got a bit of mess around, everything's getting a bit messy, I resonate back to a quote that I heard, which was, external mess creates internal mess. And that always motivates me to tidy a space or to clean out a cupboard or whatever it is that I'm procrastinating about. But it is really true. You feel the energy lift. And again, it affects our energy. If cleaning a room takes your energy from a 5 to a 6, then that's a motivator as to why we would do that, to help have that energy. But I think, our candle sales have gone through the roof through COVID, and so much so that we've actually run out. We've only just got them back in stock after 2 months of being out of stock of the candles. But I think lighting a candle is such a significant way. It's like looking at the fire, it's just so beautiful and tranquil and relaxing. And that, with some essential oils, burning it into your environment, you're inhaling those essential oils. That's having an impact on the brain and calming and soothing your nervous system. And, thinking about what's in your environment, how many times are you just automatically hearing the news? And how do you feel after that? Is that creating calm for you or anxiety? And be aware of, it might be you listen to the news once a day from a trusted source, and then you switch off and you have some relaxing music playing, rather than just autopilot to hearing the news every hour on the radio or whatever it is. But being really mindful that all of your environment affects your energy.
Some fabulous tips there, and really the key word, I think, for the theme across all of these comments is mindfulness about our mental state, our physical environment around us, our habits, our values. All of it is about just tuning the dial in a bit more, I guess, to ourselves and our responses to the environment, and ourselves internally as well. We've got just about 8 minutes left, and I haven't got any further questions in the chat, but a couple of more recommendations. My colleague Stuart, who's in the background doing tech for us, so thanks so much, Stuart, he's recommending from YouTube, Google's Sarah Bryant, How Long Does It Take to Form a Habit? So that could be a good one to watch. And Linda is recommending a Netflix documentary, which is I believe trending at the moment, called The Social Dilemma. And Shannah's said, yep, that's excellent as well. I tried to watch it with my children and they were so confronted they walked away. So
yes, absolutely. I think it's really important to try and watch it with them, but they won't like it. So they're going to, I don't want to know that, because they really love it's been their social connection, really, hasn't it, to other people when they've been homeschooling. So it is pretty confronting.
Yeah. And I've made a boo-boo. I've made a mistake. We were talking about Zoom bloopers earlier before we started this meeting, and I've done one on the record for my colleagues to see. Stuart's just corrected me. It was not something on YouTube about how long does it take to form a habit. It was a question from our YouTube audience. So I'm really sorry. My mind has been so relaxed by all of your activities and your commentary that it's not working anymore. So anyway, Sarah from our YouTube audience has a question. How long does it take to form a habit? Sorry, Sarah, I've made you into a YouTube star.
Well, Sarah, it's about 66 days at the moment. There's a lot of research on the architecture of habits, but I guess I encourage you to think less about how many days it's going to take and just focus on one day at a time, because it will be 66 days for some and 70 for others, or maybe 20 for some as well, depending on your strengths of what they are, of self-regulation and discipline. So 66 days is the average. There's also a fabulous clip that you can watch from Census on how to build habits. If you just look up the Census clip on habits, it's a fabulous 10-minute video on the architecture of habits and what's happening, and you're building a new neural pathway. So you can never delete an old habit, but you can build a new neural pathway. And it's like, you've got your walking track through the bush, you're just going off-road and there's no track. So you're building the new track, and it takes a little bit of time to wear that track in. And so understanding it gives you a little more, I guess, for me, it gives me more tolerance for, okay, I haven't got it and it's day 4, or I haven't got it and it's day 10. I haven't got it, it's day 20. It's just about, that's when you come back to those habits need to be so easy to do that it's not the intensity that you're focusing on. It's actually, they've got to be so easy that they're laughable. 1 minute. If I want to exercise, can I exercise for 1 minute a day? If I want to eat healthy, it's, 1 meal out of the day. So just start small and then build on your intensity.
And always write it down on your sticky note. So the brain, when you're trying to change a habit or delete a habit and swap it with something else, is when we've got these beautiful little visual reminders around us to keep the brain going, oh yeah, that's what I have to do. Oh yeah, that's what I have to do, because it sees it all the time. There's some great information with habits, like Atomic Habits by James Clear. We invite you to research him. He's got some really wonderful insights and newsletters that are free to keep training your habits, which is great.
Wonderful, thank you. And there's another book recommendation from our chat box here too, from Linda, a book called Better Than Before, also about habits, by Gretchen Rubin. Thanks, Linda, for that. Well, thank you both so much. You are the mistresses or masters of simplifying. I can totally understand why you've called yourselves the essentialists. You've simplified some really essential fundamental life skills really into really doable, manageable steps that don't feel like we're all going to have to go off to boot camp to take care of ourselves now. It's actually something that feels really enticing and delightful to want to lean into. So what a beautiful skill and art. Thank you both so much for your time and sharing your wisdom with us tonight. And I'd just like to share with our audience as well, this is part of a series of online events that we're running at Goldfields Libraries in our Library in Your Lounge Room series. So keep an eye out or sign up to our newsletter if you'd like to hear more and see more about what we do. We often have author events or a couple of workshops and all sorts of offerings for people of all ages and interests. We also are running a project called Life in Lockdown, and we'd love you to share your stories with us if you're interested in sharing what life has been like for you in lockdown. And that could be through any medium of expression, so poetry or writing or photography, or we've got a couple of other offerings on our website to help inspire you. And there's a blog with 60 to 80 contributions from members of the public that could inspire you around ways that other people have made meaning and kept themselves busy during lockdown. So please get involved with that project too, and have a look on our website for further information and about where you can send contributions. And the last thing I wanted to let you know about was, if you're in the Bendigo region, Goldfields Libraries is partnering with the City of Greater Bendigo to deliver a project called Bendigo Cares, and we're sending out little carer packs to people, care packs to carers. So carers are in some ways perhaps the hardest hit at this time, because all of their support networks have been taken away from them in some cases, and they're an invisible community who do an enormous amount of work for people, whatever stage of caring they might be at. So we're running some programs and events and workshops to support carers, but we're also sending out little care packages. So if you know of a carer who's in need of a bit of acknowledgement, please let us know. Again, you'll see more information on the Bendigo Library Facebook page for that project, and you'll find some contact details as to where you can go to hook us in with somebody who needs a bit of acknowledgement. So thank you again, Lyndall and Shannah. That was just wonderful. Your book is Chaos to Calm, Take Control with Confidence, one amongst many. And I do encourage people to, and I'm sure they'll be inspired after tonight too, to have a look at both of your websites to find out more about your other work and follow your work going forward.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, and take care, everybody.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for your time tonight too. Go
Okay.
well.